Hi everyone. So this is the second part of me introducing the final assignment for the semester, which is the job packet. Each of you will individually be submitting this. So this is the one assignment in the course that is individually done. It's not done in groups. So I showed you in the last lecture the kind of more robust sort of assignment sheet, but the assignment is even more kind of pared down than that. So I want to go over really what the basics are that you need to do in order to get credit for this assignment. And if you do all these things, you will get full credit. You will get an A. If you don't do them, you'll get an F. So just do them. Okay, so for your resume, you're not constructing a resume. What you're doing is you're including examples of 3 skills that match up with the language of the job call. You're going to quote the keyword your experience aligns with for each skill. The reason why I'm making you do this is because of the technologies of the current job search. There are all these bots that go through your resume, your cover letter, and see if those keywords from the job call are in there. If they're not in there, then your resume, your cover letter might not even get to HR. It might not even get past the computer. So that's really important, and I'll explain a little bit more what I mean by examples of skills that match up with the language of the call. Number 2, you need to include a cover letter. The cover letter will be in a business format, which I'll show you what it looks like. It's a separate page. You only have to write an outline of it, and it's going to include an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And I'm going to go over that as well, what that means. And then you just need a screenshot of the job, because as I said, the screenshot, the job might be up there and then it can disappear. So let me first go over the examples of the skills. So in a previous iteration of this, so this is an example of what I expected from other classes. This level of a resume for this class, given the circumstances, this is not what I'm expecting. What is useful is I also made the students write out a memo that explained to me the job that they're applying for, why they're applying for the job, and how they tailored their resume for the job that they were applying for. So this is a really good example for you to understand what I mean by these keywords and tailoring your resume and your cover letter. So here, the first paragraph, she explains the job that she's applying for, what the requirements are, how she found the job. Okay, so now she goes into how she tailored her resume to better reflect the needs of the position. Because as I said, you don't want to include just random skills that have nothing to do with the skills that the position wants you to fill. So she says, first, I started by tailoring my resume to better reflect the needs of the position. Excuse me. I started off by listing my education so that the hiring managers can see that I am pursuing degrees in fields related to CFR. One thing that's just part of the genre, you begin your resume with your education. So this section also includes my academic achievements, such as being in 2 honor programs and being on the dean's list, la 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 la. So she's going through, okay, here, so she's just basically going through explaining each of the, the parts of her resume, which is more than what we need to go over now. this is important. She says, I removed my job as a group fitness instructor at Recwell because I felt that it did not correlate enough with the job call to warrant the space it took up on my resume. So in addition to it not being as like business-like, that kind of position, it also doesn't really fit with the needs of that job. And so remember that your resume is really not supposed to be longer than a page. So you want to maximize that space. You want everything on there you want directed towards convincing the committee that you should even be able to come in for an interview. So again, we've been talking about this over the entire semester about how to write convincing copy. How do you convince the reader who's looking for, let's say, someone to give a grant to, an organization to give a grant to, or is looking to fill a position? How do you convince them that A, your NPO and your project deserves the money? In this case, how do you convince them that you're the best person for the job? Okay, so here she says, where she includes her jobs, she changed the words of her duties to include words from the job call, such as schedule and coordinate, communicate professionally, and also added a bullet point for the sales position to say that I have Microsoft Word to create promotional material. So she actually went into the job call itself, and when she was explaining what she had done at other places, she used those very words. So that's very important. Okay, here she goes into using keywords again. Again, you can read this on your own. And as I said before, transferable skills are really, really, really important. So here she says, in my second paragraph, I chose to highlight my current job positions because of their transferable skills that are directly related to the ones linked in the job. When describing my job duties, I used keywords and phrases from the job call, such as provide administrative support to advising staff, understanding of working in the reception services, experience in customer service and interacting with people in welcoming professional manner, etc., etc. So she might have done this administrative kind of work in a totally different field, but she's showing that, well, I learned all these skills, so I'm very much capable of being in this other environment, and I'm very, very much interested in being in this international relations space rather than, let's say, doing admin for a lab, like a scientific lab. Okay, so that's a way for you to kind of leverage yourself into a position that you don't necessarily have that much background in. Okay, so I'm going to show you what you need for the cover letter. The cover letter, you can use the header for the University of Maryland because you are currently enrolled as a student at the University of Maryland. I advise you to use that because it makes your letter look more professional, more important. Okay, so if you're involved in any way in some kind of institution, if you can use, if there's a header, you should use it. Then you're going to include the date. You're going to include the address of the organization you're applying to. And then we're only including an outline of the cover letter. So the outline of the cover letter includes, Dear Job Committee, comma. You're going to have an introduction. You're going to have a body. You're going to have a conclusion. In the introduction, you introduce yourself. You say, you know, what your name is, how you found the job, what your education is, etc., etc. in the, and so you also want to try to include keywords and examples. In the body, you explain and elaborate as to why you deserve the job. So again, that can be in bullet points. Conclusion, all you do is write, thank you for, thank yous, extra contact information, etc., etc. And then at the end, you write sincerely. You make sure that you have some kind of actual handwritten signature that's follows the sincerely, and then afterwards you include your name. So, yeah, so this is what the cover letter looks like. The purpose of the cover letter in general is to augment your resume. Your resume only communicates so much. So the cover letter allows you to explain further and to argue even further to the committee that I deserve this job because of da-da-da-da-da. And you explain maybe certain parts of your resume, or you highlight certain parts of your resume that are more, more relevant to this particular job. So this is what you need to do for let's go look here. For the job packet. Your resume. 3 examples of skills that match up with 3 quotes from the job call. Keywords. Cover letter, the outline, but in business format. You're going to include the introduction that introduces yourself, tells them how you found the job, what job you're applying for, and yeah, that. You include a body where you list, it could be in bullet points, just, why you're a good fit. Conclusion, really short, thank you, this is how you can find me. And then the screenshot. So those are the 3 pieces that you need to include in the job packet. Resume, cover letter, screenshot of job. So I'm hoping that this is informative and is helpful. If you are confused at any point, of course, let me know. This is going to be due on the final date of our class that's appointed by the university. I will look those up and make that available so that we know what dates those are. And so that, remember, the grant packet is due on the final day of class, which is the 12th, because the 13th is when classes are over. And yeah, so, and if you need any kind of accommodation for any of these assignments for any reason, please feel free to contact me. And so I hope that this was useful, and I'm going to upload pieces of this that I feel comfortable uploading. I showed you some examples of what students have done. I feel comfortable uploading some things that I have done, but just a caveat, they're for academic jobs, so they're just a little bit different. There's a little bit more information. The genre is a little different. But, okay, so, yeah, I only have like 40 seconds left for this, so I'm going to hang up, and I'm going to post this online, and